friends, we are going to get into the last few sections, and this is kind of where it gets dry. But dry does not mean unimportant. So hang with me. We're almost done. This and just a couple of videos left. We want to talk about what it looks like to protect our people practically. It's not enough to show up as a leader and to show up as a youth pastor. We got to remember that we are protecting the flock that's entrusted to us. So how do we protect our people? First and foremost, staying above reproach. What this means is that as youth pastors, we can never find ourselves in situations where people could look from the outside in and question what might be happening. It's not that you're up to anything weird, but if it looks weird, it's going to matter to that person's perception. And something doesn't have to be true to be damaging. It just has to be believed. So we got to find ourselves in situations where people can look in from the outside and not question what's happening. Here's some great ways to stay above reproach, some key things for you. Always meet in the most public space possible. If you're able to meet where other people are present, that goes a long way. So coffee shops and restaurants and parks. The only exception is that, a park is public, but if there's no one around you in the park, that's not very public. So it's not so much the space, it's how many people are around you. One of my favorite places to meet is at one of those black cafe tables up in the loft, because you're having a private conversation, there's other people around, you're doing your thing, but it winds up being a great place to stay above reproach. That also means on social media, right? We should make sure that we are being above reproach in every area of life. So there's a few things we encourage, exercise caution with, and say are prohibited, but anything that's like public platform where other people can see your interactions, where, things, Instagram comments and Facebook, no student has Facebook anymore, but Facebook comments and group texts are great. Be cautious with the one-on-one text, with the Instagram DMs or whatever. We're going to say they're allowed, but just be cautious and be wise in the way that you use those. And anything that kind of encourages anonymity or encourages unbiblical behavior, obviously that's a no-go for students. So the list of social media outlets always changes, so we're not going to update this training manual every time a new social media outlet comes up. But the idea is, if it's public, that's great on social media. If it's private, be very, very careful. And if it encourages unbiblical lifestyle or anonymity, that's a no-go, always. As leaders, never initiate physical contact. There's like the jokes about the awkward Christian side hug, but it's cliche and a joke because it's actually true. That's kind of the best way. If there's going to be physical contact, that's the best way to not make it weird. But we say that leaders shouldn't necessarily ever initiate that. You can respond to it, but not initiate it, because initiating that kind of thing can be perceived as weird, even if it's not. So the general rule is respond, don't initiate. Just be careful as well at how you carry yourself on your own personal social media. Students are watching your life, and what you post on social media is a part of your life, and it's an overflow of your heart. And we want to lead students toward Jesus in every area of life. So just be cautious about how you use your own social media, especially after you allow students to start following you and being a part of your life there. Going into the next section on confidentiality, there's some nuances to this, and it's important to know that leaders should be safe spaces, but safe spaces don't mean secret-keeping spaces. So as leaders, our job is to create a safe environment. Value trust, value respect, value love. And there's some tips on how to do that. We got to create that environment in our life groups and with our relationship with the students. And you got to verbalize that, hey, things that are said here, stay here. Your life group is not going to keep anything in between them, especially if they're not encouraged to and explicitly told that what is private here stays private. But we also got to set the right expectation that safety does not mean secret keeping. Yes, things that happen in small groups stay in small group. Yes, what is said to you stays between you and them. But sometimes there are things that we are just not equipped to handle on our own. And sometimes parents need to be brought into the loop where there needs to be a documented legal report. Part of this training is going to be mandated reporting. That is a separate training that is given to us by our insurance company. So you'll get that one last video to watch. Hooray for that. I'm not the authority or the expert on that whole mandated reporting stuff, so it's better that someone else kind of leads you in that. But students should know that though you're trustworthy, sometimes that you'll have to tell another trusted adult about something that they tell you. So if you get the idea that students are self-harming, Maybe they're pregnant, using drugs or alcohol, using substances, eating disorders that are damaging to them, suicidal thoughts, anything covered in the mandated reporting stuff. Make a report. It's always better to err on the side of caution than to not. And the way that we do that here is going to be this. First and foremost, make a very sincere moment with your student, very sincere. So what I mean by that is thank the student for being honest with you. Pray with them. Don't just move past that moment into, what am I going to do with this, right? No, thank the student that they trusted you and they invited you into that space. What a personal, vulnerable space for you to be invited into. So don't move past that moment. After that, when the moment's passed, let the student know that because you love them and so few of us are equipped to handle these difficult life situations like the one they just mentioned to you, you got to tell the student ministry pastor. Let the student know that you're going to tell someone else, because if you go behind their back and just tell me or whoever else, the other young adult, the other high school lead or junior high lead, and they're not brought into the loop on that, that's going to break trust between you and them, right? So they've got to know that you're going to make this report so that when myself or the junior high lead or the high school lead reach out to the student, they're not blindsided by it. And then after that, of course, call, text, email, just get a hold of myself or a member of the team as soon as you can to discuss the situation. We say within 24 hours. And then we'll help you kind of determine the best course of action. If a mandated reporting thing is needed, the training is going to tell you to go direct to the mandated report. You don't have to tell anyone else. You don't have to bring anyone else in the loop. Legally, yes, that's true, but there's a layer here of we're trying to protect trust. We're trying to protect relationship. We're trying to protect you and that student and be able that you can move forward together after this for the next years of their life. And so we say, though it's not legally required for you to bring us into the loop, please bring us into the loop so that we can help coach you and guide you and maintain that trust as best as we can so that that relationship can be protected even despite the fact that we're going into a hard season with that student. Like I said, you're going to be assigned a mandated reporter training that'll have more information in it. Of course, if you have any questions on any of that, just feel free to reach out. We're here for you. We want to have your back and equip you as best as we can to serve our students well. That's the end of this section, other than the fact that I should say, I just saw the big red text at the bottom. If a student calls you and they're in an active crisis, call 911. If they're telling you they're going to, do something on the lines of suicide or whatever else, and you're like, this is a major crisis, take a moment, think through it, pray through it, and if after that you think, okay, this is an urgent crisis where if there's no immediate action, there's going to be an issue, just hang up and call 911, and then we'll deal with everything later. Our student safety is the most important thing, and sometimes that even means at the expense of the relationship with the student. Now that's the true end of the section. We've got one more, maybe two, I think one, to chew through, and then we will end our time.